Hello, my name is Miss Grant and I'm a teacher here in St. Tammany Parish. I know that you guys have been working really hard on your assignments at home. So today we're going to go over a reading strategy that I think may be useful for you while working through some of those reading assignments. Well, today we're going to be looking at drawing inferences in nonfiction. So that's what our objective is, that after this brief lesson that you guys will be able to use that when working with nonfiction text. We have two vocabulary words, and I'm sure you're familiar with both of them. The first one is the word predict, which means to tell what you think will happen or what you think something is going to be about. The next word is the word infer, which means to draw a conclusion. Now, what does that mean? How do you go about drawing an inference? Well, you use a couple of different steps. The first one, by looking at illustrations or drawings that may be part of the text. Number two, look at any photographs or pictures that are in the text as well as on the cover. Number three, you pay attention to any graphic features that are in the text. That could be things such as shading, maybe the size of something in relation to other things in the text. Things like charts and graphs you can draw information from as well when making your inferences. Now the next step, thing that we're going to look at is number four, which is our own personal experience, and that can be very useful in making inferences. You use your background knowledge, maybe things you've experienced yourself, or maybe something you remember from a previous class, or things maybe you've seen on television or seen a movie about. And of course, last but not least, is the text. We get information while we're reading. We pick up clues from the text that we put together with some of these other things to make inferences. So what's the purpose? Why do we draw inferences? Well, there's a couple of different reasons. First, inferencing actually helps readers to focus and to become more attentive to the text. If you make some predictions and inferences from the very beginning, maybe from looking at the cover or from taking a picture walk through the book, it'll put those things in the forefront of your mind, and it will help you to make sense of it and probably help you to understand and remember those things as you go through the text. It also gives you a purpose for reading. Like I said, you're reading to find out whether or not those things are correct. So during reading, as you're reading, you're constantly checking to see if the inferences and predictions that you made are right or wrong. So let's take a look at a couple of nonfiction texts together. The first text is titled Forest. So I would look at the cover of this text, and I gather whatever information I can or could from the picture itself. I see that it's very, very green. It's very lush. It's full of lots of trees and lots of plants, and it looks just very healthy. So I put that together with my own personal knowledge about plants, and I know that they need a lot of water, a lot of rain, a lot of sunlight. So looking at this picture, I might predict that that forest get a lot of rain and a lot of sunlight. I might also predict, because here in Louisiana it's pretty warm and humid, that all forests are going to be warm and humid. But when I actually read through the book, some of my predictions are correct. You are going to have a lot of rain in a forest. You are going to need a lot of sunlight. But it is not true that all forests are warm and humid. There are some forests that are further away from the equator, and they actually have all 4 seasons. So it can get very, very cold in some forests. Those are called temperate forests. Now I'm going to take a look at a second book, and this time I'm going to cover up the title. I'm going to give you a minute to take a look at, this is an illustration, it's a drawing, and gather some information from it. And what do you predict that this book might be about? Okay. Well, if you predicted that this book is about deserts, you are correct. It is about deserts. And what information can you gather from this illustration? Take a minute to look at it, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. And I want you to make some inferences. Based on this picture, and maybe some of your own background knowledge, Maybe you've seen a movie about a desert. Maybe you've seen the movie Aladdin or some other movie. Or maybe you've been to a desert. I know I haven't, but maybe you have. Would you make an inference based on those things that a desert is dry or wet? Would you infer that a desert is hot or cold? Would you infer that a desert has many animals or very few animals? Okay. Well, think about that for a minute. Your own personal inferences. Okay. After reading through the book, during reading process, I was checking the inferences that I made and found that some of them were correct and some of them weren't. Now you check yours. In reading through the book, I found out that deserts are all dry. They get 10 inches of rain or less, which isn't very much rain, especially compared to here in Louisiana. But if you inferred, based on this picture and your personal knowledge, that all deserts were hot, you would be incorrect, because there are some deserts that are actually cold or found in cooler climates further away from the equator. If you also inferred that deserts were hot, the hot deserts were going to be hot all day long, that's also incorrect. Deserts can have a wide range of temperatures. In the daytime, the temperature can be as high as around 120 degrees, but at night it can get to freezing or below, so that would be an incorrect inference. If you infer that deserts have few animals based on the picture, you'd probably be correct. They do have some animals that can survive in the desert environment, but not nearly as many as you would find in the forest, the previous book that we looked at. Okay, so let's go over the steps again, and hopefully this will help you in your reading assignments. Okay, so again, how do we draw inferences in nonfiction text? We look at the illustrations and drawings in a book. We look at the photographs, which are pictures. We look at graphic features. And again, personal experience and background knowledge is going to be very, very important. And of course, the text. We're looking for clues in the text. Remember, during reading, that your inferences are not always going to be correct. Hopefully, most of the time they are, but we're going to find out that some of the inferences that we make are not always correct. And that's important too, because it's okay to make a wrong inference or prediction. So during reading, we want to check to see if your inferences are right or wrong. Well, thank you guys for watching as we learn how to use inferencing when reading nonfiction text. You did a great job, and remember to keep watching this channel. Hope to see you soon.